Hello again. Welcome to another Voices of Gaia Oracle. Today I will be sharing a transmission as Awantasia Greener, Voices of Gaia Oracle, for the New Earth Leadership Archetype of the Entertainer. And this will be on the gift of the Entertainer, which is called Communion. And if you are new to this work, or just as a refresher, there are 8 new earth archetypes, and the entertainer is the one that is the most public, the one that is the most in the real world, and yet also the one that is most connected to her magical genius. And what do I want to say about this to begin? Each archetype has 8 gifts. And when this work came through me, it started coming through my channel, my oracular channel, almost 2.5 years ago. It'll be 3 years in November. And so it's a little more than 2.5 years, I guess. But these 8 gifts were inspired by the body of work called the Gene Keys. And the Gene Keys, as you know, that's Gene, keys, is an amazingly transformational body of work by Richard Rudd, who I have studied and contemplated this body of work for almost 9.5 years. And it was through the Gene Keys that the 8 gifts of each of the 8 archetypes presented themselves. And so each gift is associated with a gene key, which there are 64 gene keys, spectrum of consciousness. You can visit genekeys.com to learn more about that amazing body of work and get your own gene keys profile. The Voices of Gaia, New Earth Leadership archetypes actually have their own blueprint that is based on not only your gene keys, but the larger human design. And so, well, everybody has all 64 frequencies. According to this system, we have primary energies that are more accessible. And so maybe the entertainer is one of your primary ones, and maybe it's not. It doesn't mean that you can't work with it and utilize it. And so the human design energies, gene keys energies, run through each one of these 64 gifts. And for the entertainer, gene key 45 is one of the 8 gifts. And so I started this process back a few months ago, several months ago. And I've just been sharing them as we go through the transits this year. And I'm finding that I end up sharing them after the transit has ended. So it's like I could fully feel and embody that energy before my oracular channel wanted to share something. And so we're in 45 today. And I'm going to just pause and anoint with the entertainer oil, which is a beautiful blend of oak moss, cacao, cinnamon, patchouli, neroli, nutmeg, cypress, and basil. And basil is actually the one oil, the plant ally, that goes with communion. And so let's just take a moment to call upon that sacred plant of basil as I place this oil in my hand. And just activate the sacred light codes of the entertainer in my field, focusing particularly on the gift of communion from heterarchy, from hierarchy to heterarchy, or heterarchy is the embodiment of the gift when you are living your life no longer in the climbing the ladder, the hierarchy where you're always under someone or on top and trying to get to the top, where the heterarchy is we're all here fully in our gifts and our magical genius together and working in the gift of synergy. And so the shadow of this particular portal, this gene key, this gift of the entertainer, is called dominance. And dominance is a trauma response, right? All of these shadows are trauma responses, the way that I've experienced them. And so the repressive nature is timid. And so it's like about when you're in groups, you don't express your power. You let others take charge and you sort of just, be the little mouse, the quiet mouse. And if you can see that in your life, then know that this portal might be supportive for you. Or maybe, the reactive nature is pompous. And so maybe when you're in a group, you try to overpower everyone, right? The just like overpowering presence because you need to be dominant. You need your energy to be dominant. You need to be dominant. Just feel that dominant, right? Where the mouse is just in the air, not get in the way, not make any waves, not share any of my leadership codes, any of my wisdom. And then the other one is like, this is the way it is. I'm powerful. I know. And it is about gathering together, right? Learning how to gather together in the gift of synergy where we all share. And it's when we get into this field that we really begin to embody using our voice in a powerful way that calls in the codes of prosperity. So this is in the ring of prosperity with mastery, Gene Key 16. And it takes practice. But when we can continually practice to show up in groups, in our sovereignty, in our leadership, our authentic leadership, we can begin to create together in that field of prosperity, in that field of abundance, where the golden grids of light upon the earth light up, calling towards you, all those things that are meant for you, that will allow you to live in your sovereignty and allow you to enjoy life and enjoy being in community. And like calling to you the sustenance, the things that you need to nourish you on all levels. And then you can show up in the group and you share this overflowing cup of heaven on earth, right? The chalice of the holy fields of abundance, the honey, right? This beautiful mixture of people's energies that it's just so nourishing because you're showing up with your ingredient. your natural frequency. And that's synergy. And when we do that, we come into communion, right? We communion with all that is. And it is through the honey of your voice that brings the people together, right? Your honey mixes with the honey of the field, of the other bees. And you're in this beautiful honeycomb. And you're just nourishing yourselves. And this is part of the entertainer archetype, because in these circles, in these new heterarchical circles, we begin to create a whole new earth prosperity grid, not just for ourselves, but for anybody who comes in contact with that new grid, that new magnetic grid that you've set through these golden honey light codes is how they're coming through today. And that basal energy, that is confident speech that clears out, right? This is in the throat. The 45 sits in the throat center. If you're into human design, or if not, don't worry about it. But it sits here, and it's like gives that freshness, that clean energy to speak authentically and with confidence, not arrogance, not pompousness, right? But just a artfulness, right? That's the programming partner. That's what I was looking for there. It's coming through that artfulness where you're sharing your gift, you know it, but you're doing it in this playful, artful way where you're calling people in to receive the sustenance that you have to offer. You're offering it to them in this beautiful way rather than this forced way, or maybe not even sharing it all and hiding in the corner and saying, oh, I just, I can't do that. And so this is a gift of the entertainer. This is a Gemini gift. So it's all about communication, clear communication through this portal. And just feel how in your body now, just feel how you currently are connecting to the field, to community. And maybe even take a moment and place your hand on your throat. And just notice where your voice, if it's maybe stuck and it's closed, or maybe it's too open. And just calling in that golden honey energy into your body. Oof, I can feel that all the way up through the root, up, 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 up. It's coming from the earth. It's coming from the earth, the honey of the earth. And then it's pouring out through the crown, all into your auric field. It's pouring through each of your chakras now, especially the throat chakra here, right? The new honey codes of communication that create communion, that create synergy, heterarchy, the new earth prosperity. And just imagine yourself sitting in this field of golden honey light and feeling nourished and balanced. And seeing if anything begins to shift in your expression as you go forward in your day today. And here's just a little bit of a light language transmission around this. Shalia urale irimora isharola indoya she. Shahai uya inele ari ura. Kaleo aleo aleo amde ayushti. Yoa shae. Loro yo ayo aleo elayo inde ut. Shakaleo yo yande. Just really letting that clear out any gunk from your throat chakra. You may find yourself wanting to just speak until it's clear before you actually go and speak in community. And that is all for today. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope you will come back again. Bye for now. Much love.